The acceleration of technology capability, miniaturization, broadband connectivity, and mass adoption of technology by consumers has set the scene for both digital disruption and radical change in the global economy and society at large. We are seeing several new combinations of technologies, such as the Internet of Things, also known as IoT, emerge to address existing use cases and in many cases create new ones. The drivers are the need to create greater levels of automation into what are currently manual processes to improve the performance of on-the-ground applications. The advent of the fifth wave of computing sees the integration of artificial intelligence, or AI, 5G, and IoT to create systems made up of trillions of smart devices deployed into our lives that are embedded with learning ability and are able to respond rapidly to stimuli due to high-speed connectivity or inbuilt intelligence. The impact of these developments is tremendous. The demand is accelerating, and there's no stopping this. The fourth industrial revolution from fundamentally transforming life as we know it. The lower price points and higher functionality of systems such as IoT and AI are doing a great job of converting needs into demands. We are beginning to see IoT start to make a real and meaningful impact on our lives, ranging from self-managing and learning home vacuum cleaners, smart home automation systems, latest generation luxury SUV fitted out with 500 IoT sensors and generating a few gigabytes of data an hour, to an electric toothbrush that scans your teeth, gums and saliva while you brush in order to update your health records in real time. At the same time, IoT systems are monitoring traffic patterns to smooth transit times, to track and trace parcels in real time to improve transparency and service in the logistics business, and to detect forest fires and direct response teams to protect homes and the environment. Increasingly, new products and services are being developed that have IoT capability natively built into them, from vehicles and appliances to aircraft and even industrial systems. This will create a global network of sensing and a tsunami of data to be processed and stored. So, is this revolution only about indulgence or luxury in more developed countries and higher income applications? No, it is not. And we will demonstrate in this series of case studies that IoT technology is making very meaningful improvements on the ground for millions of individuals in over 100 emerging markets globally. Fundamental and life-changing applications have emerged and are being rolled out in countries like South Africa and Rwanda and India. These are meaningful and essential services that are now being delivered through the application of IoT technology to solve both first and last mile challenges. Last mile is a term used to describe the final fulfillment challenge in delivering products and services to the consumer either in e-commerce or telecommunication terminations, and are basically the end point of the value chain. First mile is the term used in the IoT world to describe the challenge of curating and transporting information from these smart field devices back to the network and potentially the cloud, and are essentially the start of the value chain. Use cases at scale have arisen in diverse but basic fields that range from healthcare and agriculture to weather tracking and power supply. These nascent implementations are at a startup level, and scaling them will depend heavily on being able to demonstrate bankable business cases. This wave is, however, not without its challenges, obstacles, and controversies. Questions have already been raised on risks to privacy and security that could potentially occur via these systems. Who will look at the data collected, and how will it be used? Are two of the most common themes, and of course, even more serious is the level of autonomous control that IoT systems will have and how this will impact on the lives of communities. Both privacy and security will be considerations in the future rollout of these systems in order to further the development and well-being of society at large. Ernest Hemingway famously said in 1926 that one goes bankrupt slowly, then suddenly. And it's very similar with disruption that starts very slowly and then ends remarkably quickly. we shall see that, as science fiction author William Gibson stated, the future is already here, but it is not evenly distributed. Importantly, the use cases that are emerging are life-saving and enhancing, with many of these applications still being in focus niches and not in mainstream life. All of them deliver tremendous value at a low cost to markets that could eventually number billions of individuals and trillions of devices. This is the nature of IoT technology and the applications that they serve. The world is desperately in need of IoT solutions, with a global population approaching 8 billion people, but with 780 million individuals with no access to power or clean water, per the CDC. The World Health Organization has found that 2.5 billion people have no access to sanitation, and OurWorldInData.org reports that another 821 million are suffering chronic undernourishment, mainly in lower middle income countries. The World Bank reports that almost 700 million people live on less than $1.9 a day, and this is likely to increase after the traumatic impacts of the COVID-19 lockdowns on livelihoods have been factored in. The United Nations have adopted 17 Sustainable Development Goals that came into effect on the 1st of January 2016 to address this backlog, and it has become noticeably clear that this is not going to be possible without the application of low-cost, pervasive, connected, and impactful technology. Technology needs to be embedded into many layers of the societies that they serve to sense, monitor, control, and advise in each of the hundreds of applicable use cases, thereby invisibly transforming the lives of the most disadvantaged. However these debates are resolved, what is clear is that the rollout of these solutions is inevitable, and that the opportunities will be almost limitless for those willing to immerse themselves in this ecosystem.